everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to episode 1 of our 52-week mindfulness challenge. So opening the jar, we've got task number 1, which is, drum roll please, mindful eating. So on these little sheets it gives us a task list to follow. It's like kind of focus points around mindful eating. So when I head to the kitchen throughout the next week, I'll be showing you how I incorporate that with quick and simple ways that you can do without your morning coffee, or alternatively, how you can take out a bigger chunk of time to focus on mindful eating, depending on what's going to be best for you throughout this week. We all have a completely different relationship with food. I think there's this like common trope of, oh yeah, you're like having a bad day, have some ice cream and a pizza, but you might know that actually salad does make you feel better, or you might be like, actually I'd rather have a curry. And whatever it is that you decide, there's completely different things for every person. So this is not me saying do exactly what I do throughout this mindfulness challenge. I'll suggest some maybe quick ways, some longer ways of how to incorporate mindful eating into your mindfulness practice for this week, but it's not about giving you any kind of correct way, and it's really important to remember that this is all completely without any judgment, in order to be mindfully aware of our own needs. A quick video disclaimer before we start this. This is about mindful eating. That does not include weight loss. It's not about dieting. It's purely about non-judgmental, non-analytical awareness of our body's needs. Maybe you'll find something as a coping mechanism from mindful eating. Maybe this is going to be a really helpful process for you, but for some people it's really not. It could be really triggering episode, and if that is the case for you, that's completely fine. You can skip this challenge number 1 and join us for challenge number 2. In the description below, I've added some links to support services for eating disorders or blog posts, things like that, so that you feel like you're still getting some mindful support throughout this week, even if this specific task isn't appropriate for you. So join me for mindful eating and we'll head to the kitchen now. Our mindful eating card tasks are as follows. Number 1, consider why you're eating. What are you feeling before, during and after? Number 2, think about where the food came from, the process of making that food. Did you make it? Is it takeout? What effort went into that? Being grateful for the food and where it was originally sourced, or the ingredients, but also thinking about, yeah, I made that, I'm really proud of this meal, even if it's something simple, but you put that energy, you put that time in. Number 3 is to concentrate on your senses. So can we name the 5 senses? I don't know if we can, let's see. So we've got smell, taste, touch, sight, sound. Oh, look at that. So you're going to think about those during the eating process, but I actually think it's really nice to think about it during the making process as well. And number 4, consider the progression of your emotions. So this is similar to number 1 in a way. You might have felt happy about your cake before, but not so much after because you ate way too much. I get that if I eat like too many Pringles, things like that sometimes. But it might be that you're loving that. So it's not a comment on being healthy or unhealthy, but this is just being aware of where those emotions go. So I thought I'd start off our mindful eating with my morning routine. So for me, it's either going to be a coffee morning, or it's going to be something really mindful with yoga and like a herbal tea if I'm feeling a bit more calm. But this morning, I'm definitely in need of my morning coffee. So this is a really quick and easy way to be mindful just in what's like a day-to-day process that we don't usually even think about. So I like starting my days in isolation with my takeout cup coffee stills. It makes me feel like I'm still in a rush, I'm still really active, I've still got a lot to do, and in that way I'm going to carry on my day really productively. So starting with smell, I've just finished boiling the kettle, so you can probably hear it just coming off the boil. Thinking about the question where this came from, obviously I'm not going back to the roots in this in terms of like where did the coffee bean originally come from. This was actually in my last shop I did before I got stuck in isolation. So for me, having this coffee kind of feels like a bit like liberating, like a sliver of freedom for me. Let's do during. This first sip is like that left in the morning, you know how I feel. Sometimes coffee actually makes me anxious because it makes me a bit too jittery, it's too much energy, I'm kind of too awake, too aware. And that might be you this morning. However you're gonna make your first drink in the morning, it can be a nice time to wake up and be aware, and that too can provide you with energy. Now we're moving to a baking section. So this was my way of trying out mindful eating as a longer focus for the day. So I made Maltese fagoli, which are a type of Easter biscuit. Throughout this, I was thinking about my senses a lot, especially smells and textures, as you can see while I made these biscuits. Also where all the ingredients came from, so my eggs were local, and the almond flour I used came in compostable packaging. But this was how I was feeling halfway through. And then I just mix it together with a big spoon, and as you can tell, I sat down on my sofa to do this part because I was tired, so that's okay too. Being mindful is also being aware of your own body and how that's feeling. That's feeling a bit slumped, so that's okay if you get like that too. I'm going to give it a smell because this smells really good of the orange blossom water and almonds mixed together, which I really love the smell of if you're like a marzipan fan. I don't really love the taste of marzipan, but I love the smell of it. So I'm enjoying that. So that's my bit of mindfulness right here on the sofa at the moment. And while everything is in the oven, I would recommend having a boogie around your kitchen and then taking a flop on the sofa. Maybe not quite a nap because you want to still see the oven over there for safety purposes. You can take a mindful moment if you fancy. Oh, I'm out of breath from my boogie. Maybe feel the textures around you, your feet in your socks, your legs and your pajama bottoms. If you're like me in pajamas. Feel my fluffy earrings, my fluffy pillow. I started off with my morning routine as a quick way to insert mindful eating into your day, and I'm also adding that into my bedtime routine. So for me, before bed, I always have a mint tea. For me, it's something that I find really calming. I've built it into my coping skills routine for anxiety, which I am more likely to get before bed. I think because you've had all that energy all day. So for me, I always have mint tea as part of my bedtime routine. I've built that in as a coping skill for anxiety in the evening. I think because I've had all that energy built up in the day, I need a really good wind down in order to sleep well. So for me, before having mint tea, I'm feeling very ready for bed. I'm feeling very tired. And the smell of this and the warmth of the steam coming to my face is like very comforting. The smell of the mint. During, it's nice to feel that sensation of the warmth of the drink travelling through my body, a bit like taking big belly breaths in the evening as well. It's quite like a meditative process for me. I guess you could add anything into your evening routine, something nice and quick like a drink, maybe it's a hot chocolate, and then you can consider those questions of, is it a treat? Is it something to make you feel comforted? Is it like me and it's your sort of daily routine? Let's acknowledge what we've got this evening, what we've had all day, and be thankful for it, and go to bed with that feeling of gratefulness. Especially in isolation, I definitely struggled to get mint tea, and I was like, I have to get that because I know that's my like coping skill. So I feel for all of you if you've got something that you built in as a coping skill and you can't find it. So maybe if you couldn't get exactly what you want or what you're used to using as like something to cope with anxiety or something as part of your bedtime wind down, you could try out something different. So for me, I was going to try out different herbal teas like the bedtime teas if I couldn't get mint tea. Mint tea is also really good for the digestive process after you've eaten. I had really big risotto, which was really lovely, really comforting, very tasty. I made it, so I'm very like proud of my own work, and I think we're not often proud of our daily meals because we're so used to taking them for granted. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Mindful Eating. Tune in next week to find out what we're gonna have pop out of the jar, because I don't know that yet either. I don't actually know the contents of the jar, so it's all a surprise to me too. Yeah, give mindful eating a go this week. See if you can build your routine around it or add it into your routine, whichever is best for you, just to improve your mindful awareness around our eating and drinking habits and what your needs are and how you can provide for them. Let me know in the comments what the first meal or drink is that you try out mindful eating on this week. Like, share, subscribe as always, and just remember this week, alongside your mindful eating, you are enough, you've always been enough. To give yourself permission to rest, and that you don't have to do anything in this isolation period or at any other point if it's not good for you. Take care, and I'll see you next week.